Welcome back. While the country's water crisis appears to be at a critical point, residents around the country are faced with water cuts and poor infrastructure as aging infrastructure fails. As we speak, the city of Johannesburg is anticipating a 54-hour water disruption as of Monday. Rand Water, on the other hand, has urged people not to stockpile on water. So we are joined now by Ferial Adams from OUTA to discuss the water challenges faced by the country further. Ferial, thank you so much for your time this evening. I mean, look, it never would have thought that in South Africa, water would become one of those scarce commodities, a very rare commodity as time goes on. But it speaks significantly to whether or not planning and forward planning was actually implemented in being able to sustain our water supply against an increasing population.
Absolutely. And it also, for years we've been talking about the fact that we lose so much of water because of the poor infrastructure. And, the day zero is coming and it's upon us. And that's the challenge, is that we've been talking about this for a long time, and it's now we're in it, and we will be experiencing day zero in many cities, in many towns. And it's a big concern, especially because South Africa is a water scarce country.
Yeah. But then in that case, what can South Africans do? Many South Africans are looking at this and saying, we should have known that, there will be an increase in capacity. We should have known that there would be an increase in the number of people that are actually living in this country. We should have understood and anticipated that infrastructure would age. It should be something that is known that infrastructure ages, and unfortunately, it has not been fixed. To your understanding, who do we hold to account, and can we hold anybody to account at this point?
Absolutely. I think we definitely can hold local government and national government to account for the state of our water affairs in South Africa. At a local government level, we're looking at appalling infrastructure maintenance. We're looking at, potholes and sewage manholes that are overflowing into communities. And it's not as if this thing has happened yesterday. It's been going on for a number of years. And so definitely we need to hold local government accountable for those kind of atrocities. But at a national government level as well, the state is supposed to be taking care of our water resources for all the people in South Africa. And the pollution, the challenges of infrastructure, the challenges of climate change are not new. And so definitely we need to hold them accountable, and they need to do better in the planning, as you've mentioned.
Ferial, where's the problem? Is the problem with planning? Is the problem with corruption? Is the planning with money that never gets to the intended purpose, and the purpose being the actual fixing of this infrastructure, that it somehow ends up in the pockets of a few? To your understanding, where is the actual issue when it comes to the water supply issue in South Africa?
It's very complex. The issue of water supply, and if you look at our state of our water affairs, right? You're looking at things like acid mine drainage, which is not something that happened recently. It's a historical thing. If you're looking at corruption, and if you look at the Human Rights Commission had hearings on the Vaal River and raw sewage being spewed out into the Vaal River. So that links to corruption, it links to mismanagement. And then you've got an infrastructure, a city that's growing. We are, in Johannesburg especially, we are expanding so quickly that the government has not been able to catch up and deal with the infrastructure needed for the growth that is happening in our city. So it's all of that. And I think that what makes this so difficult to find the right solution for our water resources.
Yeah, but then what does it mean for us as citizens in the long run? We keep speaking about an anticipated day zero and such. Does that mean that we're fast getting to a place in the country where we would all have to look at water as not a scarce commodity, but maybe an unavailable commodity? And what does that say about our basic human rights?
Well, there are millions of people in South Africa at the moment, and I see the footage in your screen that shows that there are a lot of people that don't have taps in their homes. Less than 50% of South Africans have running water in their homes. So there have been people who are living with day zero as we speak, and that is not something that is new. But the thing is, that's going to get worse, and that's the challenge. How do we deal with that? And one of the things we have to do is we have to, as citizens, start monitoring the water resources wherever we live. And that is what OUTA is calling for. We are saying that there must be a way of building a network across the country for us to monitor our water, to check the levels of pollution, and to check the amount of water that we have, so that we can have a proper picture of what is going on. Government has not been releasing the green drop and blue drop reports anymore, and that makes it very difficult to ascertain what is going on in the whole country.
But if the report is not being released, that means that there's a lack of transparency on government's part, is it not?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that is what OUTA is saying, that we need to be able to have the checks and balances. So if they say that something is good, and if they release reports that say that a water body is perfectly fine, we need to be able to have our own, as ordinary citizens and people's voices, we need to do our own testing, and we need to be able to say to them, okay, here's our tests, and they do not correlate. And that's what we need to do. We definitely have to do that.
Ferial, we'll leave it there for this evening. Thank you so much for your time. Ferial Adams from OUTA giving us the latest there on the fast becoming water crisis in this country.